The event at Watkins Glen in IMSA's main championship is complete, and there was certainly a lot of action during the race. The battle in GTP was especially exciting, and so was the final 10 minutes in the GTD Pro category, to see who would win between multiple different cars. The details regarding those things I just mentioned, as well as so much more, will be discussed in this video. This is the race review for the 2024 Sahlen's 6 Hours of the Glen. For this 6-hour endurance race held in upstate New York, Swiss racer Louis Delatraz would line up on pole position for this event in the Sebring winning number 40 Dex Imaging Acura. Before I get going with the race review though, there is a factor I wanted to mention. In practice, last year's race winning BMW crashed at the first turn. Thankfully driver Connor De Filippi was okay, but the car needed major repairs. BMW M Team RLL got a new tub from Indianapolis and got to work, and were able to get the number 25 BMW M Hybrid V8 ready in time for the race. Although, the car would need to start in the pit lane, and would need to serve a penalty later on. But I just wanted to give a big shout out to Team RLL for doing such a remarkable job for getting that car ready in the limited time available. For the race start, Louis Delatraz would lead the field to green, but soon the number 40 Acura would be overtaken by Renger van der Zander's number 01 Cadillac. Overall though, across all 4 classes, there were no major incidents in the first laps. However, considering it's a long and difficult endurance race to complete, along with other factors, there was bound to be a few incidents soon, and eventually we got our first in the LMP2 field, after contact was made between the number 18 Era Motorsports and number 81 Dragon Speed LMP2 cars. Both cars got going again, but this was a clear indication that Era Motorsports were unfortunately in for a difficult afternoon, when later on they were forced to retire their Oreca 07 with gearbox issues. This of course was not good news for the car that had won both LMP2 races so far this year, at Daytona and Sebring respectively. Ultimately, this would mean that we would most definitely get our first LMP2 winner this year that wasn't the successful number 18 Era entry. Back up in GTP, a lead change happened when Phil Hansen took the number 85 JDC Miller Porsche to the lead. JDC Miller Motorsports showed incredible pace during this race, and in my opinion, they were the dark horses of this event. The customer Porsche soon gapped the 01 Cadillac, and was looking good for a podium or maybe even a race win here at Watkins Glen. By the way, fun fact, this performance from JDC Miller Motorsports also marked the first time that a customer Porsche 963 had led a race in IMSA. Hopefully, it's not the last time we see a customer 963 at the front. Later on, we got some bad news for AO Racing's Spike entry, as the race leading car in LMP2 was given a penalty. The number 99 car was forced to take a drive-through penalty with PJ Hyatt on board the Oreca entry. Over in GTD Pro, the number 65 Ford would come into the pits with brake issues, and we even saw fire appear on the left-hand side of the car. Ford had just come back from a strong performance at the 24 Hours of Le Mans, where the Proton entries finished 3rd and 4th in LMGT3, and here at Watkins Glen, the Mustangs were looking very competitive. However, like this brake issue for the 65 car, the Fords ran into some issues. Out of all the Mustangs though, the number 64 car ran a pretty good race, and was even leading the GTD Pro category for a certain time. After what looked to be a very hot day at Watkins Glen, with temperatures reaching over 90 degrees Fahrenheit, things would actually shift in a different direction. The race would end up being massively affected by the rain, which would cause some drama at the event later on. As the rain started to become a worrying factor, a couple of big crashes happened for some of the entries, which unfortunately forced them to retire. The first one was for the number 47 Cedlar Racing Ferrari. The crash started when the number 04 CrowdStrike APR LMP2 entry made contact with the 296 GT3 at the boot section of the track, and unfortunately, the 47 Ferrari was forced to retire. The second crash was at turn 1 when the number 33 Sean Creech Motorsports entry had a massive wreck. This place, as well as turn 11, is a hotspot for crashes at the Glen. Two other major crashes both occurred at turn 11, when a big wreck happened for the number 55 Proton Ford. Thankfully the driver was okay, but there was debris all over the track, and the safety car had to be brought out once again. It's also worth mentioning that the number 27 Heart of Racing Aston Martin was involved in this incident, and it took a while for this car to return to the pit lane because there was a lot of traffic in its way. The other crash at turn 11 involved the number 83 Iron Dames Lamborghini, with Sarah Bovey behind the wheel at the time. This was a big shunt for the Belgian racer, and she was actually instructed to get checked out at the hospital. Thankfully she's okay and was released later on. Elsewhere in GTP, there were some dramatic moments for two entries in particular. The number 31 Whelen Cadillac had a spin with Jack Aiken behind the wheel at the bus stop chicane. The entry lost a lot of time and actually had to go into the pit lane for repairs. This ultimately led to the Action Express V Series R going a lap down to the rest of the GTP field, which was of course a very unfortunate situation. The other dramatic moment in GTP that I wanted to mention was when the number 85 JDC Miller Porsche was hit with a massive penalty, which saw the 96.3 come to a halt for 5 minutes straight. After what looked to be a very good Watkins Glen result for JDC Miller Motorsports, this devastating penalty ruined any chance for the number 85 Porsche to secure a podium position. The positives we can take from JDC Miller's race is that their Porsche 963 showed spectacular pace and has the ability to not just fight the factory Porsches, but also beat them and be on the podium. However, it wasn't just the number 31 Whelen Cadillac and the number 85 JDC Miller Porsche that were struggling with issues during this race in GTP, because later on, with just over 2 hours remaining of the event, the number 63 Lamborghini went into the garage with cooling issues, and this ultimately resulted in the SC63 retiring from the event. When it comes to the pace, the Lamborghini SC63 definitely performed better here at Watkins Glen versus the 12 Hours of Sebring event. The car itself has truly come a long way from that point in March, but retiring the car, I'm sure, was not the result that Lamborghini Iron Lynx were looking for when they came to the Glen. The racing progressed towards the final hour, and in the top class it was a battle for the lead between the number 6 Porsche and the number 10 Konica Minolta Acura. However, the increasing amount of rain became a complication here at Watkins Glen, and eventually the event was red flagged due to the torrential rain. Before the red flag, the conditions were causing multiple incidents out on track, and it just wasn't right for the cars to continue on with these conditions. The racing eventually got going again with just over 15 minutes remaining. However, under safety car conditions, there was drama for the second place Acura ARX-06. The number 10 Konica Minolta Acura, which had won the previous event at Detroit, stopped out on track at the S's when the back right tire had come off. The number 10 Acura would be forced to retire because of this, and in such a heartbreaking way, especially considering that this car had an opportunity to win this event and back-to-back 2024 races after their win at Detroit. When the number 40 Acura led the field to green for the final time, it was Dane Cameron that got an amazing start in the number 7 Porsche and went down the inside on Louis Delatraz in the 40 Acura to take the lead at Watkins Glen. The 01 Cadillac would soon follow into second position, as the number 40 Acura would drop all the way to 4th position. The top 3 overall was now Dane Cameron in the number 7 Porsche Penske, followed by the 01 Chip Ganassi Cadillac, and the number 6 Porsche Penske in 3rd. In my opinion though, the most intense part of this final 15 minutes was not in the GTP field, but in the GTD Pro field, when there was almost a 6-way fight for the overall win. The Pro class was led by Tommy Milner in the number 4 Corvette, closely followed by Ross Gunn in the Heart of Racing Aston Martin, and Marvin Kirchhofer in the number 9 Pfaff McLaren. This 6-car fight was definitely intense all the way up until the checkered flag, as it separated 5 different manufacturers, and the 64 Ford Mustang wasn't far behind either. On the last lap though, there was a shock decision when Tommy Milner dove into the pit lane from the race lead in the Pro category because the number 4 Corvette did not have enough fuel to make it to the end of the race. Therefore, Ross Gunn took the lead in the number 23 Heart of Racing Aston Martin, and held off Kirchhofer's Pfaff McLaren all the way to the checkered flag. The overall win though was achieved by Dane Cameron and Felipe Nasr in the number 7 Porsche. They took their second win of this season, after taking the Daytona 24 victory earlier this year. This was a fantastic win for the championship leading Porsche, and a great result for Porsche Penske Motorsport in general. The 01 Chip Ganassi Cadillac secured another second place finish, with the sister number 6 Porsche Penske finalizing the podium in GTP. In LMP2, after crossing the line first at Le Mans a week prior, Nicholas Nielsen crossed the line first at Watkins Glen, and took AF Corsa to the victory with their number 88 entry. Following the success by AF Corsa was the number 74 Riley in second, and the Inter-Europol by PR1 Matheson Motorsports entry completed the podium. In GTD Pro, as mentioned before, the number 23 Heart of Racing Aston Martin held on to the lead. This was also the first win for the 23 Aston Martin since it won at Road America in 2023. Second place went to the number 9 Pfaff Motorsports McLaren, and in third was the number 3 Corvette Racing entry from Pratt Miller Motorsports. Finally in GTD, it was the number 57 Windward Racing Mercedes that was once again triumphant in this category, winning its 4th race this season. The number 34 Conquest Racing Ferrari followed the entry, and completing the podium was the Magnus Racing Aston Martin. For the championship standings after Watkins Glen, in GTP it's still the number 7 Porsche Penske at the top after their win at the Glen. Following the Porsche is the 01 Cadillac from Chip Ganassi Racing, the number 6 Porsche Penske, and now the number 40 WTR Andretti Acura, and the 31 Cadillac completes the top 5. In LMP2, it's now the number 74 Riley that leads the championship, with the number 18 Era Motorsports entry going down to second after a disappointing result at the Watkins Glen event. The number 52 Inter-Europol by PR1 Matheson Motorsports entry is in third, followed by the United Autosports car and the 04 CrowdStrike APR entry. The GTD Pro standings continues to see Rexy at the top, with the AO Racing Porsche being followed by the number 14 Vassar Sullivan Lexus, the number 23 Heart of Racing Aston Martin, the number 1 Paul Miller Racing BMW, and jumping into the top 5 is the Pfaff Motorsports McLaren. The 57 Windward Mercedes extends its lead in GTD over the 96 Turner BMW, with the 34 Conquest Racing Ferrari moving into the top 3. The Korkhoff Preston Motorsports Mercedes sits 4th, with the number 120 Wright Motorsports Porsche completing the top 5. So that completes my breakdown of the Sahlen 6 Hours of the Glen in 2024. This was a race that had action non-stop. But what do you think about it? Let me know down in the comments. The next time we'll see the GTP cars will be at Road America, but the next IMSA race will be at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, and that will definitely be an event to look out for. Thanks for watching. For more content on endurance racing such as the WEC and IMSA, consider subscribing if you haven't already. On screen, you'll find some suggested videos to watch next. For now though, that's it for me. You'll hear from me next in the following video.